People think dirt under your fingernails means you're broke. They see the grease stains, the work boots, the calloused hands, and they make assumptions. They assume you're struggling, that you're uneducated, that you're barely scraping by. They never consider that the man who fixes their $80,000 truck might own 3 apartment buildings. That's their mistake. And it was my wife's mistake too. If you believe that real wealth is built in silence while fake wealth is performed for applause, hit that like button right now. Because what I'm about to tell you is a masterclass in patience, investigation, and cold, calculated revenge. But let me rewind. Let me show you how a woman can spend 17 years sleeping next to a millionaire and never realize it because he had motor oil under his nails instead of cologne on his wrists. My name is Danny Kovac. I'm 44 years old. I own a diesel truck repair shop in Bakersfield, California. I also own 6 commercial properties, 2 residential apartment complexes, and a portfolio of municipal bonds worth approximately $4.3 million. My wife, ex-wife now, knew about the shop. She had no idea about the rest, not because I hid it from her maliciously, but because she never asked. She never wanted to know. She saw a man who came home at 7 p.m. smelling like hydraulic fluid and antifreeze, and she stopped looking any deeper than that. Vanessa, 39 years old, blonde, 5'6". The kind of woman who'd been pretty in high school and had spent the last 2 decades trying to maintain that status through increasingly expensive means. Botox, fillers, personal trainers, boutique fitness classes that cost $40 per session. I paid for all of it. Not because she asked nicely, but because that's what you do when you're married. You provide, you support. You build a life where your partner can pursue their interests, even if those interests are SoulCycle and rosé brunches with women who call their husbands my hubby in baby voices. We didn't have kids. Vanessa had decided early on that children would ruin her body. I didn't fight her on it. I'd grown up in a house with 4 siblings and not enough food. I knew what it meant to want things you couldn't have. If she didn't want kids, that was her choice. I focused on work. The shop was my baby. I'd started it 16 years ago with $40,000 I'd saved from working oil rigs in North Dakota. 3 years of 18-hour days in negative 40-degree weather, living in a trailer, sending every paycheck back home except what I needed for ramen and work boots. Vanessa had met me after the oil rigs, after I'd already bought the property for the shop with cash. She'd been a receptionist at a car dealership. I'd come in to look at used trucks for the business. She'd smiled at me, that smile, and 6 months later we were married in a courthouse ceremony because she said she didn't want anything big or showy. I should have paid attention to that, because 17 years later she wanted everything big and showy. It started subtle, comments about my clothes. Are you really wearing that to dinner? Questions about my schedule. Do you have to work Saturdays? Everyone else's husband has weekends off. Comparisons to her friends' husbands. Melissa's husband bought her a Lexus for her birthday. I bought her a Lexus for her birthday. She complained it wasn't the right color. I didn't say anything. I just went back to work. Because that's what I did. I worked, I built, I fixed things that were broken. I fixed diesel engines, I fixed hydraulic systems, I fixed air brakes and transmissions and fuel injectors. I couldn't fix my wife. The shop was doing well, better than well. We were handling fleet maintenance for 3 regional trucking companies, plus custom builds for guys who wanted lift kits and performance mods. I was billing $60,000 a month, clearing about $35,000 after payroll and overhead. But I didn't tell Vanessa that. I gave her a credit card attached to a checking account I kept with $5,000 in it. I'd refill it when it got low. She thought that was our income. She thought we were living paycheck to paycheck, that the house, a nice 4-bedroom in a good neighborhood, paid off in cash 7 years ago, was mortgaged to the hilt. She had no idea that every month I was taking the surplus and buying real estate, an apartment building here, a small commercial plaza there, properties in foreclosure that needed work I could do myself on weekends, plumbing and electrical and drywall, the kind of labor that kept my body strong and my mind clear. By the time Vanessa started cheating on me, I owned $8 million in real estate with $3.2 million in debt against it. Net worth, $4.8 million. And she thought I was a grease monkey who couldn't afford a vacation. I found out about the affair on a Wednesday. Not because she was sloppy, but because I'm a mechanic. Mechanics notice things. Patterns. Anomalies. When something doesn't sound right, doesn't feel right, we investigate. Vanessa's routine had changed. She used to go to the gym at 9 a.m., come home at 11 a.m., shower, have lunch, spend the afternoon online shopping or meeting friends. Now she was leaving at 9 a.m. and not coming back until 3 p.m. She said she'd added a cycling class and a coffee meetup to her routine. Her Lexus, the one she'd complained about, had 400 miles more on it than it should have based on her gym being 4 miles away. I checked the mileage when I changed her oil. Old habit. I track everything. So I did what any good mechanic does when something's off. I diagnosed the problem. I put a GPS tracker on her car. $60 on Amazon. Magnetic. Stuck it under the rear wheel well. For 3 days, I watched her drive to the gym. Stay for an hour. Then drive 15 miles north to a high-rise apartment building in downtown Bakersfield, the Pinnacle. Brand new construction. Luxury units starting at $3,200 a month. She'd stay for 3 hours. Then she'd drive home, shower again, and ask me how my day was with the same voice she used to ask the grocery store clerk if they had organic kale. I didn't confront her. I opened a new spreadsheet. I titled it Vanessa Investigation, and I started gathering data. The Pinnacle was easy to research. Property records are public. The building was owned by an LLC out of Nevada. The LLC was owned by a development company that had overextended itself during COVID and was now bleeding cash trying to fill units in a market where nobody wanted to pay $3,200 a month for a 2-bedroom with a view of a freeway. Occupancy rate, 61%. I called the leasing office, pretended I was interested in a unit. The woman on the phone was eager. Too eager. "We have several availability options," she said. "Are you looking for a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom? 2-bedroom, what floor?" "We have a beautiful unit on the 19th floor. Corner unit. Floor-to-ceiling windows. It's currently offered at $3,400 a month with 2 months free on a 12-month lease." "What about the penthouse level?" "Oh, the penthouses are stunning. Those start at $5,800 a month. We have one available on the 23rd floor." "Who's in the other penthouse? I don't want loud neighbors." She hesitated. "I can't disclose tenant information, but I can assure you our building has very strict noise policies." I thanked her and hung up. Then I drove to the Pinnacle. I parked across the street at a Starbucks. I bought a coffee. I sat in my truck, the old F-250 I used for personal driving, the one with 240,000 miles and a dent in the bed from hauling rebar, and I watched. At 11:47 a.m., Vanessa's Lexus pulled into the parking garage. At 11:52 a.m., a man walked out of the building lobby, 6'2", mid-40s, dark hair, graying at the temples, wearing a charcoal suit that fit too well to be off the rack, shoes that reflected the sun. Watch that caught the light, gold, chunky, the kind of watch that screamed, "I need you to know I'm successful." He got into a Mercedes S-Class, black, new, probably $120,000. I took a photo of his license plate. Then I went home and ran it through a database I paid $30 a month to access, a service I used for tracking down customers who skipped out on repair bills. The Mercedes was registered to a man named Tristan Voss. Tristan Voss. Even his name sounded expensive. I ran his name through every public records database I had access to, and that's when it got interesting. But that was only the beginning. Tristan Voss, age 46, had an impressive online presence. LinkedIn. Investment consultant, helping high-net-worth individuals maximize returns through strategic portfolio diversification. Instagram. 14,000 followers. Photos of the Mercedes. Photos of him in suits at charity galas. Photos of him on a yacht, not his yacht I'd later discover, but a rental. Photos of expensive watches, expensive dinners, expensive everything. The kind of feed designed to make people think he was rich. He wasn't. I spent $200 on a comprehensive background check. Tristan Voss had filed for bankruptcy in 2019. Chapter 7. Discharged $340,000 in credit card debt and a failed real estate investment in Arizona. His current credit score 580. The Mercedes S-Class he drove, leased, $1,590 a month. He was 3 payments behind. The lease company had already sent a repossession notice to his last known address, an apartment in Long Beach that he'd been evicted from 6 months ago for non-payment. His current address, The Pinnacle, Unit 2304, Penthouse level, rent $5,800 a month. Status, 4 months past due, $23,200 owed. Eviction proceedings filed but delayed due to COVID tenant protections that were still being phased out in California. Tristan Voss wasn't rich. He was a con artist living on credit and charm, 2 things that run out eventually. And my wife had left me, emotionally, if not legally yet, for a man who was about to lose everything. I sat back in my office chair, the one with the duct tape holding the armrest together, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt like I was back on the oil rigs, focused, mission-oriented, ready to work. I called the property management company that owned the Pinnacle. "I'm interested in discussing a commercial opportunity," I told the woman who answered. She transferred me to a man named Kevin Chu, Director of Asset Management. "Mr. Chu," I said, "I'm a private investor looking to acquire distressed multifamily assets. I understand the Pinnacle is underperforming. I'd like to discuss a purchase." There was a pause. "The building isn't officially for sale," he said carefully. "Everything's for sale if the price is right. You're at 61% occupancy. Your debt service is probably eating you alive. I can close in 30 days. Cash." Another pause. "Can you come in for a meeting?" "Tomorrow, 2 p.m. I'll send you the address." The address Kevin Chu sent me was in downtown Los Angeles, Wilshire Boulevard, one of those glass towers where the elevator buttons go to floors numbered in the 40s. I left the shop at noon, told my foreman Carlos I'd be back by 5, didn't tell him where I was going. Carlos had worked for me for 11 years. He knew when to ask questions and when to keep his mouth shut. I drove the F-250. I didn't shower. I didn't change. I was wearing my work uniform, navy blue Dickies coveralls with Kovacs diesel stitched on the chest pocket in yellow thread. My boots had fresh grease on them from replacing a DEF system on a Freightliner that morning. My hands were clean. I'd scrubbed them with fast orange soap, but there was still black under my nails, always was. Occupational hazard. I pulled into the parking structure beneath the building. Valets in red vests looked at my truck like I'd driven a tractor into a country club. I ignored them. Found a spot myself. Level P3, between a BMW 7 Series and a Tesla Model S. The lobby was all marble and chrome. A fountain in the center, water running down black stone in sheets. The sound was supposed to be calming. It just reminded me of money being wasted. The security desk was staffed by a young guy in a blazer, early 20s, trying to look important. "Help you?" he said. His eyes flicked from my boots to my coveralls to my face. He'd already decided I was in the wrong place. "I have a meeting with Kevin Chu, Beacon Asset Management, 14th floor. He picked up a phone, spoke quietly, hung up. "They're not expecting anyone named." He looked at a screen. "You didn't give me your name." "Danny Kovac," he typed, frowned. "I don't see you on the list." I pulled out my phone, showed him the email from Kevin Chu's assistant with the appointment confirmation. Time, date, floor number. He stared at it longer than necessary, like he was hoping the text would change if he looked hard enough. "I'll need to see ID," he said. I showed him my driver's license. He made me sign in on a tablet, took my photo with a webcam, printed a visitor badge on a sticker that said, "Visitor escort required." "Elevators are to your right," he said. "14th floor." I took the badge, stuck it to my coveralls. It immediately started peeling off because of the fabric texture. The elevator had mirrors on 3 walls. I watched myself ride up. A mechanic in work clothes, surrounded by his own reflection. Going to meet with asset managers who probably made more in bonuses than most people made in a year. I didn't look out of place to me, but I knew I would to them. The doors opened on 14. The reception area was designed to intimidate. 20-foot ceilings, abstract art on the walls, the kind that looked like someone had thrown paint at a canvas and charged $50,000 for it. A receptionist desk made of white marble with gold veins running through it. The receptionist was a woman in her late 20s, brunette, wearing a black dress that probably cost what I paid Carlos for a week's work. She looked up when I walked in, Her smile froze, not dropped. Froze. Like her face had been trained to smile at everyone, but her brain was screaming that I didn't belong here. "Hi," I said. "Danny Kovac. I have a 2 p.m. with Kevin Chu." "Of course." Her voice was pleasant, professional, but her eyes were doing math, trying to figure out what I was. "Contractor? Plumber? Lost?" She picked up her phone. "Kevin, your 2 o'clock is here." A pause. Her eyebrows went up slightly. "Yes, Yes, okay." She hung up. "He'll be right out. Can I get you some water?" "Coffee." "Coffee. Black." She stood, walked to a side table where there was an espresso machine that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. She made the coffee, brought it to me in a white ceramic cup with the Beacon logo on it. I took it, sat down on a leather couch that made a sound like money when I sank into it. I waited. 3 minutes later, a door opened and Kevin Chu walked out. He was younger than I'd expected from his voice on the phone. 32, maybe 33. Asian. Good-looking in that generic business professional way. Wearing a navy suit that fit perfectly. White shirt, no tie. Trying to look relaxed and important at the same time. He saw me and something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or confusion, but he recovered fast. "Mr. Kovac." He walked over, hand extended. "Kevin Chu. Thanks for coming in." I stood, shook his hand. He had soft hands, manicured. The kind of hands that had never changed a tire or held a wrench. "Appreciate you meeting with me," I said. "Of course, come on back." He led me through the door into a hallway lined with glass-walled offices. People inside working on computers, talking on phones, looking important. A few glanced up as we passed, saw my coveralls, looked away quickly, like I might be contagious. Kevin's office was at the end, corner unit. Windows on 2 walls overlooking the city, a desk made of dark wood, 2 monitors, a bookshelf with business books arranged by color. The kind of office designed to tell you that the person working here was successful. "Have a seat," Kevin said, gesturing to a chair across from his desk. I sat. The chair was leather, expensive. It squeaked when I moved. Kevin sat behind his desk, folded his hands, gave me a smile that was probably supposed to put me at ease. "So," he said, "you mentioned you're interested in the Pinnacle." "I am." "Can I ask what your background is in multifamily real estate?" "I own 2 apartment complexes in Fresno, 48 units total. I've owned them for 6 and 8 years respectively, cap rates between 7.2 and 8.1%. I also own 3 commercial properties, a strip mall in Modesto, a warehouse in Stockton, and an office building in Bakersfield. Total portfolio value around $8 million with $3.2 million in debt. I said it the way I'd say I was replacing spark plugs. Matter of fact, no emotion. Kevin's smile didn't change, but his eyes did. He was recalculating. "That's impressive," he said. He opened a laptop, typed. "And you're looking to add to your portfolio?" "I am. The Pinnacle is a premium asset, Class A construction, completed in 2021, 180 units across 24 floors. Amenities include a rooftop pool, fitness center, co-working spaces, concierge service." "You're at 61% occupancy," I said. He stopped. "Your break-even occupancy for a building like this in Bakersfield is probably around 75%, maybe 80% if your management fees are high. At 61%, you're bleeding cash." Kevin's jaw tightened slightly. "The building is stabilizing. You're not stabilizing, you're drowning. Your debt service is probably $140,000 a month. You're bringing in maybe $350,000 in gross rent at current occupancy. After operating expenses, let's say $200,000 for a building that size with full amenities, you're clearing $150,000, which means you're short $90,000 a month just to break even. That's over $1 million a year in losses." Kevin stared at me. I pulled a folded piece of paper from my chest pocket, unfolded it, set it on his desk. It was a spreadsheet, printed. The numbers were in my handwriting. "Here's my math," I said. "I pulled your property records. Your original loan was $22 million at 4.2% interest. That's $92,400 a month in debt service, assuming a 25-year amortization. Your property taxes are $180,000 a year, so $15,000 a month. Insurance on a building like that? Maybe $8,000 a month. That's $115,400 a month before you pay a single operating expense. I pointed to the numbers. Your typical operating expense ratio for Class A multifamily in a secondary market like Bakersfield is 45 to 50% of gross income. You're collecting $350,000 a month at 61% occupancy. Let's say 48% OPEX. That's $168,000. Add your debt service and fixed costs, $115,400, and you're at $283,400 in total monthly expenses. You're bringing in $350,000. That leaves you $66,600 in net operating income. I looked up at him. Except that's not sustainable, because you're not at stabilized occupancy, and your investors aren't getting a return, and your lender is looking at a loan-to-value ratio that's probably underwater based on current market comps. The building appraised at $26 million in 2021. It's 2026, the market's different. Multifamily cap rates in secondary California markets are at 6 to 6.5%. At $350,000 a month in gross rent, that's $4.2 million annually. At a 6.5% cap rate, your building is worth $18.5 million, maybe $19 million if I'm being generous. Kevin Chu's face had gone from pleasant to stone. You're upside down by $3 million, I continued. Your investors are furious. Your lender is sending letters, and you're sitting here trying to convince me this is a premium asset, when what it actually is a distressed property that's about to go into receivership. Silence. The office was soundproof. I could hear the hum of the air conditioning, the faint sound of traffic from 14 floors below. Kevin leaned back in his chair. He wasn't smiling anymore. "You did your homework," he said. "I always do. And you think you can do better." "I know I can." "How?" I leaned forward. "You've got 19 floors of empty units and you're spending $8,000 a month on a concierge service nobody's using. You've got a rooftop pool that costs $3,000 a month to maintain and maybe 10 people use it. You're marketing to tech workers and young professionals in a city where the median income is $54,000 a year and you're charging $3,200 a month for a one-bedroom. Your value proposition is broken." I tapped the spreadsheet. "Here's what I'd do. Cut the concierge, cut the co-working space. Nobody wants to work where they live anymore. That was a COVID trend. Drop rents to $2,400 for a one-bedroom, $2,800 for a two-bedroom. Market to working professionals, couples, small families. People who want something nice but not luxury. Fill the building to 85% occupancy in 6 months. That's 153 units occupied. At an average of $2,600 a month, that's $397,800 in gross rent. Operating expenses drop to $180,000 with lower amenity costs. Net operating income goes to $217,800 a month. That covers your debt service and gives you $102,000 to $400 a month in positive cash flow. Stabilized, you're looking at $1.2 million a year in NOI. At a 6.5% cap rate, the building's worth $22 million. I buy it now for $18.5 million, run it for 2 years, sell for $22 million. That's a $3.5 million profit. I sat back. Kevin Chu stared at me like I'd just spoken in a language he didn't understand. "You're a mechanic," he said finally. "I'm a diesel mechanic. I own a shop. I also own $8 million in real estate. I understand cap rates, cash flow, and debt service. I understand how to run a business, and I understand when someone's trying to sell me a sinking ship and calling it a yacht." He opened his mouth, closed it. Then he did something I didn't expect. He laughed. Not a fake laugh, a real one. The kind of laugh that comes when you realize you've been outplayed and there's no point in pretending anymore. "You want to make an offer," he said. $18.5 million. I assume the existing debt. I pay you $6.5 million cash for the equity. You walk away, your investors get 70 cents on the dollar, and you stop losing $1 million a year. Our basis is $22 million in debt plus $4 million in equity. That's $26 million total. You're offering $18.5 million. That's a $7.5 million loss. That's the current market value. You can wait for a better offer, but every month you wait, you lose another $90,000. In 6 months, you'll have lost another $540,000. In a year, over $1 million. Meanwhile, your lender starts foreclosure proceedings, your investors sue, and you spend the next 3 years in litigation. Or you take my offer, close in 30 days, and move on. Kevin Chu looked at his computer screen, then at me, then at the spreadsheet I'd put on his desk. I need to talk to my partners, he said. You've got 72 hours. I stood up. He stood up too. We shook hands again. Mr. Kovac, he said, can I ask you something? Sure. Why do you dress like that when you come to meetings like this? I looked down at my coveralls, my boots, the grease stains. Because this is who I am, I said. I'm not pretending to be something else. I fix trucks, I own buildings, I make money, and I don't need to wear a suit to do any of it. I walked out. The receptionist didn't offer to take my coffee cup. I kept it. Drove back to Bakersfield with a Beacon Asset Management cup sitting in my cup holder, knowing that in 72 hours, Kevin Chu was going to call me back. Because numbers don't lie, and I'd just shown him his were telling the truth he didn't want to hear. They called me back in 48 hours. We'll accept $19 million, Kevin said. $7 million cash to equity. $18.5 million. $6.5 cash. Final offer. Silence. Deal. I thought it couldn't get worse. I was wrong. The paperwork took 3 weeks, due diligence, inspections, title review, the kind of bureaucratic process that exists to make sure everyone gets paid and nobody gets sued. I didn't tell Vanessa. Every night I came home, kissed her on the cheek and asked about her day. Every night she told me about yoga or brunch or a sale at Nordstrom. Every night I nodded and went to my office and reviewed contracts and wire transfer instructions. The closing was scheduled for a Thursday. But before that happened, I needed Vanessa to leave because she needed to be in that penthouse when I took it away. So I started turning down the temperature. Not literally, well actually literally too, it was July. Bakersfield in July is a special kind of hell. 100-degree days, 105, 110. The kind of heat that makes asphalt soft and steering wheels too hot to touch. Our house had central air, 2 units, one for upstairs, one for downstairs, both new, both running perfectly. On a Tuesday night, I came home from the shop and went straight to the side yard where the condenser unit sat behind a fence. I pulled the disconnect on the downstairs unit. Just pulled it. Simple as that. Then I went inside. Vanessa was in the living room watching something on TV. One of those reality shows where rich women yell at each other in restaurants. "Hey," I said. "Hey." She didn't look up. I went upstairs, took a shower, came back down. It was warm, not unbearable, but warm. By Wednesday morning it was hot. Vanessa was standing in the kitchen, fanning herself with a magazine. "Is the AC broken?" she asked. "I don't know. Is it hot?" "Yes, it's hot. It's like 80 degrees in here." "Huh. Let me check it after work." "Can you call someone?" "I can look at it myself. I know HVAC." I did know HVAC. I'd installed the units myself 4 years ago, saved $8,000 in labor. I went to work, came home at 7. The house was 84 degrees. Vanessa was upstairs in the bedroom where the working AC unit was keeping it cool. "Did you look at it?" she called down. "Yeah," I called back. "I think the compressor's shot. I'll order a part. Should be here in a week or so." "A week? Danny, it's 107 degrees outside." "I know. It sucks. I'll try to get the part faster." I didn't order a part. Thursday was worse. 87 degrees inside by mid-afternoon. Vanessa called me at the shop. "Danny, I can't stay in this house. It's unbearable. Can you please just call an HVAC company? They're going to charge me $2,000 for an emergency visit. Let me try to fix it this weekend." "This weekend? Are you serious?" "Vanessa, I'm in the middle of a job. I've got 3 trucks down and I'm short a guy because Miguel called in sick. I'll deal with the AC when I can." She hung up. Friday was worse. 90 degrees inside by noon. I came home at 6. Vanessa was sitting on the back patio under the shade, drinking wine from a bottle she'd put in a cooler with ice. "This is insane," she said when I walked out. "I know, I'm sorry, I'm trying." "Are you? Because it seems like you don't care." I looked at her. "I'm working 12-hour days to keep the shop running so we can pay for this house and your gym membership and your car and everything else. I'm sorry the AC broke. I'll fix it." "When?" "When I have time." She stared at me. Then she went back inside. I stayed on the patio, drank a beer, listened to the sound of cicadas in the trees. Saturday I told her I was going to the shop. I wasn't. I went to the Pinnacle, sat in my truck across the street, watched Vanessa's Lexus pull into the garage at 10:30 a.m. She stayed for 6 hours. When I got home at 5, she was in the bedroom with the door closed. The house was 92 degrees. Sunday night was when it happened. I was in the kitchen making a sandwich. Turkey, cheese, mustard, white bread. Simple. I didn't need fancy food. Food was fuel. Vanessa came downstairs. She was wearing a tank top and shorts. Her hair was in a messy bun. She looked miserable. "I'm ordering pizza," she said. "Okay." She pulled out her phone, opened the delivery app, added items to her cart, went to check out. She tapped her credit card. "Declined." She tried again. "Declined." "Danny." Her voice was tight. "Yeah? My card's declining." "Huh, that's weird. Can you check the account? Maybe there's a fraud hold." I pulled out my phone, opened the banking app for the checking account her card was linked to, the account that was supposed to always have $5,000 in it. Balance 0.0. "Oh," I said, "I think I forgot to transfer money into it this week. I've been busy." "You forgot?" "Yeah, sorry, I'll move some money in tomorrow." "Tomorrow? Danny, I need to eat." "There's food in the fridge. I just made a sandwich. There's turkey." "I don't want a sandwich. I want pizza." "I can't help you right now. My card's in my wallet in the truck. I'm eating." She stared at me. Her face was red, from the heat or anger or both. "Are you kidding me right now?" "What?" "The AC's been broken for 5 days. The house is 90 degrees. My card doesn't work. And you're sitting here eating a sandwich like nothing's wrong." I took a bite, chewed, swallowed. "The AC's broken. I'm going to fix it. Your card will work tomorrow. I don't know what you want me to do right now. I want you to care. I do care. I do." "You don't. You come home and you go to your office and you work on your stupid spreadsheets, and you don't even notice that I'm dying in this house." I set down my sandwich. "Vanessa," I said calmly, "if you're that uncomfortable, you can go stay with a friend for a few days until I get the AC fixed." She froze. "What?" "Stay with a friend. Melissa or Jen. Whoever. I'll fix the AC this week. Then you can come back." "You want me to leave?" "I didn't say I want you to leave. I said if you're uncomfortable, you have options." "What kind of husband tells his wife to leave when the AC breaks?" "The kind of husband who's working 80 hours a week and doesn't have time to deal with drama about pizza and credit cards." Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. "I can't believe you," she said. "Okay. I'm going upstairs." "Okay." She left. I finished my sandwich. The house was silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the faint sound of Vanessa crying upstairs. I didn't go up. I went to my office, opened my laptop, reviewed the closing documents for the Pinnacle. Closing date, Thursday, 3 days away. Everything was on schedule. Monday morning, Vanessa came downstairs with 2 suitcases. "I'm going to stay with a friend," she said. Her voice was flat, defeated. "Okay," I said. "How long?" "I don't know. Until you fix the AC. Until you start acting like you care about this marriage." "I care about the marriage." "You have a funny way of showing it." She walked out. I watched her load her car. She didn't say goodbye. I stood in the driveway and watched her drive away. Then I went inside, flipped the breaker back on for the AC unit, and listened to it hum back to life. The house was cool again in 20 minutes. But Vanessa was already gone. I closed on the Pinnacle on Thursday at 2 p.m. Wire transfer $6.5 million from my business account. Loan assumption, $12 million in existing debt. Total purchase price, $18.5 million. I signed the papers in the title company's office. Kevin Chu was there. So was a representative from the lender. So was my attorney, a guy named Robert Chen who'd been handling my real estate deals for 6 years and never asked questions. We shook hands. Kevin Chu looked relieved. "Congratulations," he said. "Thanks. Good luck with it." "I won't need luck. I've got a plan." He smiled. "I'm sure you do." I walked out of that office as the legal owner of a 180-unit luxury apartment building in downtown Bakersfield, which meant I was Tristan Voss's landlord. And Vanessa didn't know. 3 days later, I had a process server deliver an eviction notice to Unit 2304. I didn't tell Vanessa. I didn't tell anyone. I just waited. They tried to fight it. Tristan hired a lawyer, a cheap one, the kind you find on Yelp with 3-star reviews and a phone number that goes to a cell phone. The lawyer filed a motion to delay the eviction based on California's tenant protection laws. My lawyer, Robert Chen, who charged $450 an hour and was worth every penny, filed a response that was 32 pages of case law, documentation, and evidence proving that Tristan had willfully defaulted on his lease, had lied about his income on his application, and had allowed an unauthorized occupant to move in. The hearing was set for the following Tuesday. I didn't attend. Robert did. He called me after. "We won," he said. "Eviction approved. Sheriff enforcement in 14 days. Good. You're really going through with this?" "I am." "Danny, I've known you for 6 years. I've never seen you do anything out of spite. This feels personal." "It is personal. He's sleeping with my wife in a penthouse he's 4 months behind on rent for. I own the building. I'm evicting him. That's not spite. That's business." Silence. "Okay," Robert said. "Just making sure you know what you're doing." "I always know what I'm doing." The enforcement date was set for a Thursday, 8 a.m. I woke up at 5:30, same as always, showered, put on my work clothes, jeans, steel-toed boots, a grey t-shirt with the Kovac diesel logo on the chest. I looked in the mirror, 44 years old, grey in my beard, scars on my hands from 15 years of wrenches slipping and metal cutting skin. I looked like a mechanic. I was a mechanic. I was also a millionaire about to evict my wife from her boyfriend's penthouse. I stopped at a gas station on the way, filled up the F-250, bought a coffee. The clerk looked at me like I was just another working guy starting his day. I was. I arrived at the Pinnacle at 7:45 a.m. The sheriff's deputies were already there. 2 of them. A cruiser parked in the fire lane, lights off. I pulled up behind them. Got out. The lead deputy was standing by the entrance, drinking coffee from a styrofoam cup. He was in his 50s, thick build, grey mustache, the kind of cop who'd seen everything and wasn't impressed by anything anymore. "You the owner?" he asked when I walked up. "I am. Danny Kovac." I offered my hand. He shook it. "Deputy Martinez. This is Deputy Rowe." He gestured to the younger guy standing by the door, mid-30s, shaved head, looking bored. "Appreciate you guys coming out," I said. Martinez shrugged. "It's what we do. You got the paperwork?" I pulled the eviction order from my back pocket, unfolded it, handed it to him. He read it over, nodded. "Unit 2304, penthouse level." "That's right. You doing the lockout yourself, or you got a crew?" "Just me." He raised an eyebrow. "You sure? Sometimes these get messy. People get emotional." "I'm sure." "Your funeral." He handed the paperwork back. "Let's get this done. I got 3 more of these today." We walked into the lobby. It was empty. Too early for most people. The security desk was unmanned. I'd already called ahead and told them to stay clear. I didn't need witnesses. The elevator was waiting. We got in. Martinez pressed 23. The doors closed. The elevator music was playing. Soft jazz, piano and saxophone. "Hell of a building," Martinez said, looking around at the mirrors and the brushed nickel trim. "What's a place like this run?" "Penthouse, $5,800 a month." He whistled. "Jesus, I'm in the wrong line of work. Guy we're evicting hasn't paid in 4 months. How the hell do you live in a place like this and not pay rent? You convince yourself you're special, that the rules don't apply, that you can talk your way out of it." The elevator slowed. Floor 20, 21, 22. The doors opened. The hallway was silent. Thick carpet, the kind that absorbed sound, recessed lighting, paintings on the walls, abstract nonsense that probably cost more than my truck. Unit 2304 was at the end of the hall. Martinez knocked, heavy, official. Sheriff's Department, open the door. Silence. He knocked again. Sheriff's Department, this is a lawful eviction. Open the door or we will use a key. I heard movement inside. Footsteps, muffled voices. The door opened. Tristan Voss stood there. He was wearing a bathrobe. Silk, navy blue with gold trim, the kind of robe you see in movies about rich people. His hair was a mess. He had stubble on his face, dark circles under his eyes. He looked like a man who hadn't slept well in weeks. Behind him I could see into the apartment. It was big, open floor plan, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city, expensive furniture, a leather couch, a glass coffee table with fashion magazines scattered on it, and standing in the kitchen area, wearing one of his t-shirts and nothing else, was Vanessa. Her face when she saw me was something I'll remember for the rest of my life. Shock, confusion, horror, all at once. "Danny?" Her voice was small, like a child's. "Ma'am," Martinez said, not looking at me, "you need to vacate the premises immediately. This property is being repossessed due to non-payment of rent." "What?" "No, there's a mistake," Tristan started. "No mistake," I said. He turned to me, really looked at me for the first time, saw my boots, my jeans, my t-shirt, saw the man his girlfriend had left her husband for standing in his hallway with sheriff's deputies. "You," he said. "Me. You can't do this. This is illegal. I have a lease. I have rights. You have a lease you didn't pay." I pulled the eviction order from my pocket, unfolded it, held it up so he could see. "You owe $23,200. You were notified. You had 14 days to pay or vacate. You did neither. So now you're being removed." I tried to pay. I called the management company. I am the management company. "I bought this building 5 weeks ago. I own it. You were notified." His face went pale. Vanessa stepped forward. "Danny, what is this? What are you doing?" I looked at her. At the woman I'd spent 17 years married to. At the woman who'd shared my bed and my life, and never once asked what I did with my money or how much I had, or who I was beyond the man with grease under his nails. "I'm evicting you," I said. You own this building?" "I own 6 buildings, Vanessa. This is one of them. I bought it specifically because your boyfriend here was 4 months behind on rent, and I wanted to own the place you were cheating on me in." The color drained from her face. "Danny, you've got 30 minutes to pack," Martinez said. "Anything left behind becomes property of the landlord." Tristan's phone was in his hand. He was dialing, frantically, pressed it to his ear. "This is Tristan Voss. I need to speak to someone immediately. I'm being illegally evicted." He stopped, listened. "What do you mean you can't help me? I'm your client." He pulled the phone away, stared at it. He hung up on me. "Your lawyer didn't get paid either, did he?" I asked. Tristan looked at me. His jaw was tight. His hands were shaking. "How much to make this go away?" he said. "What?" "How much? Name a price. I can get you the money. I just need time." "There is no price. You're being evicted. You're leaving today, now. You don't understand. I have business meetings. I have clients. I can't just—" "You don't have clients," I said. My voice was calm, flat. "You filed for bankruptcy 3 years ago. You're living on credit. Your Mercedes is about to be repossessed. You're a con artist who convinced my wife you were successful because you wore expensive suits and drove a leased car. And now you're standing in a bathrobe you probably bought with a credit card that's maxed out, trying to negotiate with a man who owns the ground you're standing on." Silence. The apartment smelled like stale coffee and perfume. Expensive perfume. The kind Vanessa had been buying for years with money I gave her. Martinez shifted his weight. "Folks, I'm giving you 30 minutes. Clock starts now. I suggest you start packing." Tristan stood there for another moment. Then he turned and walked back into the apartment. Vanessa didn't move. She was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. "You knew," she said. "I knew." "How long?" 2 months. "And you didn't say anything?" "No." "Why?" I looked at her. At the woman I'd built a life with, the woman I'd provided for. The woman who'd looked at me every morning for 17 years and decided I wasn't enough. Because I wanted you to be standing right here when I took it all away. Her eyes filled with tears. Danny, please. You left me, Vanessa. You moved into this apartment with a man who was lying to you just like you were lying to me. You chose this. You chose him. You chose expensive furniture and penthouse views and a fake life, and now you get to live with that choice. I made a mistake. No, you made a decision, and decisions have consequences. Martinez cleared his throat. 28 minutes. Vanessa turned and walked back into the apartment. I stayed in the hallway. Martinez looked at me. You good? I'm good. This is personal, huh? Very. He nodded. I've done a lot of these. Never seen one quite like this. First time for everything. They packed in silence. I could hear them moving around inside, opening closets, drawers. The sound of suitcases being zipped. I stood in the hallway with Martinez and Rowe. Martinez drank his coffee. Rowe scrolled through his phone. At one point I heard Vanessa crying. Loud heaving sobs. I didn't go inside. At 8:29 a.m. they came out. Tristan was dressed now. Jeans, a t-shirt, no shoes. He was carrying 2 duffel bags. Vanessa was behind him. She'd put on yoga pants and a sweatshirt. She was wearing sneakers, no makeup. Her eyes were red and swollen. She was carrying 3 suitcases. Behind them, Deputy Rowe was bringing out boxes. 4 of them. Stacked. He set them in the hallway. That everything? Martinez asked. That's everything, Tristan said. His voice was hollow. Keys. Tristan reached into his pocket, pulled out a key ring, handed it to Martinez. Martinez handed it to me. I looked at the keys. The penthouse, the building entrance, the parking garage. I put them in my pocket. You're free to go, Martinez said. They walked down the hall toward the elevator. Vanessa looked back once. I didn't look away. The elevator doors opened. They got in. Tristan, Vanessa, the boxes, the suitcases, the duffel bags. The doors closed. They were gone. Martinez turned to me. You want us to change the locks? I'll handle it. All right? You need anything else? No, thanks for your help. He nodded. Good luck with it. I don't need luck. He smiled. I bet you don't. They left. I stood alone in the hallway of the 23rd floor, holding the keys to Unit 2304, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. I took the elevator down. When I got to the lobby, I saw them through the glass doors. Tristan and Vanessa. They were standing on the sidewalk outside. The boxes and suitcases were piled next to them. It had rained earlier that morning. The pavement was still wet. The sky was grey. There was a puddle near the curb. Vanessa was trying to fit the suitcases into her Lexus. The trunk was open. She was shoving things in. One of the suitcases wouldn't fit. She pulled it out, tried again. It still wouldn't fit. Tristan was on his phone, pacing, yelling at someone. A decorative pillow, one of the expensive ones from our house, cream-colored with gold embroidery, fell out of one of the boxes. It landed in the puddle. Vanessa bent down to pick it up. She was wearing the Louboutins again, the red bottom heels. The heel got stuck in a sidewalk grate. She pulled. The heel snapped. She stood there, holding a soaking wet pillow in one hand and a broken shoe in the other, and she started crying again. I stood in the lobby, my work boots tracking mud on the polished marble floor, my jeans stained with yesterday's grease, my t-shirt stretched from years of wear, and I watched. I watched the woman who'd left me for a penthouse sit on a wet curb with a broken heel and a ruined pillow and cry. And I felt nothing. Well, that's not true. I felt satisfied. I turned around and walked back to the elevator. I had a building to manage. Vanessa tried to come back 3 days later. She showed up at the house at 6:30 p.m. I was in the garage working on a customer's Duramax, replacing a turbo that had failed due to poor maintenance. She knocked on the side door. I opened it. Danny, she said. Her voice was soft, different. Can we talk? About what? About us. About everything. I made a mistake. I wiped my hands on a rag. synthetic oil and diesel fuel. The smell never really comes out. You didn't make a mistake, I said. You made a choice. I was confused. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was unhappy. You were unhappy in a paid-off house with a new car and unlimited money to spend on gym memberships and brunches and throw pillows. You were so unhappy you moved into a penthouse with a con artist who was living on borrowed time and maxed-out credit cards. She flinched. Danny, please. You left. You packed your things. You moved out. You abandoned the property. California law is clear. You walked away voluntarily. You filed no legal claim for support. You made no attempt to reconcile. You're not coming back. This is my home. This is my home. I bought it. I paid for it. I own it. You left. You don't get to come back because the penthouse got foreclosed on and your boyfriend dumped you. Her face crumpled. He didn't dump me. We're figuring things out. He left you the same day you got evicted. I know because Marcus Webb has been tracking him. He's in San Diego now, living with a woman he met on a dating app. She's 28. She has a trust fund. He's already moved on, Vanessa, because that's what con artists do. They move to the next mark. She was crying now, full, gasping sobs. I have nowhere to go, she said. You have parents in Fresno. I can't go back there. Then don't, but you're not coming here. Danny, I'm your wife. You were my wife. The divorce papers were filed 6 weeks ago. You were served. You didn't contest it. It'll be final in 4 months. You don't get to play the wife card when you stopped being my wife the day you got into your Lexus and drove to another man's apartment. I stepped back, started to close the door. Wait. No. Please. I closed the door, locked it, stood there for a moment listening to her cry on the other side. Then I went back to the Duramax and finished replacing the turbo. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. She got the Lexus because I'm not a monster. She got nothing else, no alimony, no property settlement, no split of assets, because she'd abandoned the marriage voluntarily, because she'd moved out with no claim of abuse, no claim of financial hardship, no legal grounds for support. My attorney, Robert Chen, had filed a response to her initial claims that was 47 pages of documentation, photos, bank records, and evidence showing that she'd left voluntarily, moved in with another man, and made no attempt to reconcile. The judge ruled in my favor. Full stop. Vanessa appealed. The appellate court denied her appeal. She tried to claim I'd hidden assets. We went through forensic accounting, done by a court-appointed CPA, not me, conflict of interest, and everything was above board. Every property was in my name. Every loan was documented. Every dollar was accounted for. She got a lawyer who specialized in high-asset divorces and tried to argue that I'd built my wealth during the marriage, so she was entitled to half. Robert Chen destroyed that argument in a deposition that lasted 6 hours. Your Honor, he'd said at the final hearing, Mr. Kovach built his wealth through personal labor, smart investments, and careful financial planning. Mrs. Kovach contributed nothing to these assets. She didn't work. She didn't invest. She spent 17 years enjoying the fruits of her husband's labor while actively planning to leave him for another man. She doesn't get to claim she's entitled to assets she didn't know existed, didn't help create, and only wants now because her affair partner turned out to be a fraud. The judge agreed. Vanessa walked away with a 4-year-old Lexus and whatever money she had in her personal checking account, about $1,200. I sold the Pinnacle 8 months later, dropped the rents, cut the expensive amenities, filled it to 88% occupancy in 5 months. Net operating income went from negative $90,000 a month to positive $220,000 a month. I sold it for $21.5 million. After paying off the $12 million in debt and closing costs, I cleared $9 million. Minus my original $6.5 million investment, I made $2.5 million profit in less than a year. I used it to buy 3 more properties, 2 apartment buildings in Fresno, a small industrial complex in Modesto, the shop's still running. We're billing $75,000 a month now. I hired 2 more mechanics. Carlos is my shop manager. He's been with me 12 years now. I pay him $85,000 a year plus bonuses. I'm 45. I'm worth $6.2 million. I still wear work boots and jeans with holes in them. I still come home smelling like diesel fuel. I still have grease under my fingernails and nobody knows, because real wealth isn't performed, It's built in silence. It's built by men who understand that dirty hands can hold more than clean ones ever will. It's built by men who know that respect isn't given based on appearances. It's earned through work, through patience, through knowing when to act and when to wait, through understanding that the best revenge isn't loud. It's documented, it's legal, it's final. If this story taught you that your value isn't determined by how you look, but by what you build, that real wealth is silent while fake wealth screams, hit that subscribe button right now. We tell the real stories here, the ones about patience, about playing the long game, about winning not because you shouted the loudest, but because you worked the hardest and stayed silent until the moment mattered. This is the place for men who understand that respect isn't given, it's earned. And sometimes earning it means letting people underestimate you until the moment you show them exactly who you've always been. Welcome to the pack. What did Vanessa learn? That you can't fake wealth forever. That charm runs out. That credit limits end. That the man with grease under his nails might just own the building you're crying in front of. Don't mistake dirty boots for empty pockets, because the richest men I know, they're the ones you'd never notice until it's too late.